Hey guys, I'm back again. This isn't a typical video for me, but it's something that has grabbed my attention and I can't stop thinking about. So I have a question for you all. Do you think possibly did Brian Laundrie's daddy buy him a new life? I want to know exactly how the FBI and North Point Police Department searched that reserve for 5 weeks and came up with nothing. Not a shred of evidence. Yet, Chris Laundrie is in there for like 20-30 minutes and finds evidence that leads to bones. I'm just astonished. The parents left home that morning around 6 a.m. They say it was before sunrise, and there were only 2 journalists outside, which that in itself is very convenient. One was a Fox News digital reporter, and he actually followed the Laundries. Once they got to the reserve, 2 members of law enforcement met them. So they had apparently called ahead, maybe. They met them at the entrance. The lawyer says one was a local police officer and one was an FBI agent. Roberta is seen toting a red backpack, and it's like stuffed with what appears to be water bottles. And Chris has nothing, no backpack, nothing in his hands. Right before reaching the trail, it was a trail marked 149, and it was at around 7:40 a.m. He actually asks, I don't know if he asks the law enforcement or the reporter following, but they ask for at least 25 feet of space. Which I think that's odd too. I understand you want your space, you want them to back up, but it's like he had already looked in a few areas before getting to this trail, so why right then did he ask for them to back up? Makes me curious. But anyways, I'll continue. On the way, he would like hop in and out of the brush randomly, just kind of poking around, then he'd pop back out. The 2 law enforcement members were following behind, but keeping them, staying at a safe distance, but keeping them in sight, is what they said. Around 8 a.m., Chris stepped into the brush, and then I'm going to put the video up. He steps off into the brush to the right. Roberta continues on for a little bit, and then stops. I'm curious as to why she just stops and kind of looks left to right, like, oh, I'm looking, but not really looking, And I put myself in her shoes, and if that were my child, would I be acting like that? I don't know. Everybody's different. I understand that, but it just looks odd, right? Well, he goes off into the brush, and they said the officers followed the first time he walks off, and that they're gone for about 12 minutes. Well, then Chris returns to Roberta, and she actually had wandered up towards the clearing, and this is the clearing that's it's roped off with yellow caution tape. They said it's 15 yards from the blue tent, and then the other direction, 20 yards, is the white tent. So she wanders up to the edge of that clearing and is waiting. Chris comes around. His pants are wet up to the knees, and he has a white bag in his hand. They're silently talking to each other. This is around 8:15. They're looking confused, looking around like, what do we do? Where do we take this? Oh my God. Let's just pick it up and dig around inside of it. And destroy any fingerprints that may be preserved inside, which really aggravates me because Chris Laundrie is not that dumb. He knows not to pick up evidence and handle it so much with bare hands. And then to make sure it happens right there in that clearing where, it's pretty much guaranteed the journalists are going to see and get the perfect little pictures of them standing there looking all confused and dazed. And where are the authorities? Where did they go? They were just right here. It's extremely aggravating. It just, to me, it looks like a show. From the day Brian went camping with them that weekend, it's been a show. I mean, it's just so obvious that, they knew where to go. And then they said they had told police earlier to look there, but they couldn't because it was underwater. Well, okay, fine. It's an important place to look. Before this, the 13th, when Brian went off to go on his hike, Chris says he went to look for Brian that night and also went the next day. So both of those times, did he not go to the reserve and look if this was such an important place? And if they had, did they not go to that path that was so important because he always went there? Why didn't they look then? It wouldn't have been flooded then. If Brian got there on the 13th, they would have been able to reach it and found it. Just another thought. But personally, I just believe that this is all one big show for us. I don't think that they snuck bones in, snuck bags in themselves. I don't see how they could have done that. But I do wonder what was in that package that they mailed out days earlier. They FedExed a package. If I can find the picture, I'll post it. I do wonder what was in that. Could that notebook and the dry bag and a backpack have been in there for someone else to place? Makes me wonder. And also another thing, I just saw today, some local hikers have been looking in that area, and they actually showed the dirt and the grass and everything, and they personally think that the land is way too dry to have been completely flooded like they're saying it was. Now, I'm not there. I haven't seen it, so I can't say one way or the other, but they live there. So I'm going to lean more towards the people that actually live there and know what it would look like if it had been underwater. And I also believe that those bones are not Brian. Just my opinion. But, tell me, does anyone know who specifically determined that the bones and teeth found matched Brian's dental records? Was it a local dentist or a local coroner? Because I'm not going to believe it until the FBI has a specialist examine them and do a DNA test using any residual pulp inside those teeth. This family has money, y'all, and connections. So if it's a local that made that call, I would be asking for a second opinion. Because in my opinion, they bought Brian a new identity. New ID, new passport. It's not hard if you have the money. And then they bought him time, over 5 weeks worth, to escape and get settled in somewhere. something that Cinema Shogun brought to our attention. I'll actually put the post for that video in below as well. They were asking how did they process this scene so quickly and then release it to the public the next day. And they ID'd Brian the next day after saying it'd take probably about a week. Hikers have been through there and found several things. They found a rope hanging from a tree, which might have nothing to do with Brian, but it was right there. And you would think authorities would have taken that with them to, analyze, but no, it's still hanging there. And they found more bones, which, I got some pictures from Cinema Shogun. I'm going to post them. They found several bones. They look rather large, in my opinion. To me, they don't look like animal bones. They look human. I'm not a physician. I don't know that for a fact. You look at them and make up your own minds. And there is a piece that kind of, to me, it looks like a hip. And I'll point that out to you, which one I think. And then another one kind of looks like part of the spine, like the lower part of a spine. And it might not be. But they found that, and they found some human feces, and then they alerted the FBI, and right away, authorities were out there to pick up the bones and the poo-poo. So, I think it may have been important. But clearly they didn't process the scene completely, and it makes me wonder why. What is the rush? They conducted the largest, most expensive search in U.S. history for one man. Not a shred of evidence, not a piece of fabric, not a hair came of it. But the mom and dad suddenly wake up and say, hey, let's go look for our son. And they're there like 30 minutes and they find him? I don't get it. I just don't get it. Even canine handlers are questioning this. Retired NYPD, retired FBI agents are questioning this. Something is off. Something is wrong. And something else I found out, Brian Enton released this, that the authorities had actually planted hidden cameras covering the front and back of the Laundrie home. Yet, they never saw him leaving on the 13th in his Mustang that was parked in the front to go for his little hike. How did they never see him leave if they had constant surveillance on the front and back entrance? That's impossible. It's because he wasn't even there. I'm telling you, the trip with his parents and his sister, when they went camping that weekend, it was a final goodbye to Brian Laundrie. Because he was fixing to be dead. And he left from there for his new life. With a new identity, new birth certificate, passport. He could be anywhere. And I know it sounds crazy. But it has happened so many times before. Even the authorities can make people disappear in the witness protection program with new identities, a birth certificate, a passport. You can get school records. All that stuff is available for the right price. And do you really think that these parents that held Brian's secrets, ignored Gabby's family for weeks, do you really think they would just let him go off on his own? And as they said, he was grieving to commit suicide. And what was he grieving exactly? I mean, that's a very specific word, that you don't grieve after a breakup. You don't grieve after an argument. But you grieve after someone's died. They knew he hurt Gabby. Maybe even knew he hurt Kylen and Crystal. They lawyered up and they devised a plan. If they went through all of that for him, you don't think they would do anything in their power to protect him, to help him live a life outside of prison? Because if he is guilty of these things, then he would have been in prison for life. They had the money, they had the means, and they had the opportunity. And they made damn sure well they had enough time for all of it to happen. But what they didn't realize is that they're horrible freaking actors. And their lawyer talks too much. I said liar. He's that too. Many people have successfully escaped with new identities. But the problem is, everyone would have to think that Brian was dead, or they would never stop looking for him. And if he is alive somewhere, laughing that he outsmarted us all, just wait, because he will mess up. He'll be back on social media and posting about Hellboy, henna tattoos, and how animals are better than humans. He craves that attention. His parents have a lot of money. And they have connections all over Florida and back home with their businesses. Money talks. I'm telling you right now, they bought their son his freedom, a new life, and enough time to get away. And it makes me wonder how much they must know to go through so much to get him away from here. And it makes me wonder, did he shoot Kylen and Crystal in Moab? Did he? Because he's the only person that keeps popping up in the hotel across the street from her work, fighting with Gabby across the street from her work. And maybe that's why they had this final, whatever happened to make him want to hurt her so badly. What could happen that was so bad that would anger him so much? Did she figure out while he was in Florida what happened? Because I'm sure she heard about it on the news. She was right there. A double homicide. 2 women. Brutalized. She had to have heard about it. And if she had heard about it, don't you think when he got back, she would say, hey, guess what? Even nonchalantly try to figure out if he knew about it. And of course, that would, anybody that's a narcissist like him would make them fly off the handle. And then it makes me think, are there more? California, Nebraska, Utah, Wyoming, there are several other unsolved cases of women dying. And conveniently, right when Brian just so happened to be in that area. And as I said in the earlier video, the day that they passed, he posted cryptic messages about death. Perfect place to bury a body. And these are on the days that the law enforcement suspected that they died. Now, is that another coincidence? How many more coincidences is it going to take for people to take this seriously. How many? Because I think one is plenty to at least look into it. But maybe we'll never know. I mean, I hope we can make enough noise so the FBI takes a closer look at these bones. And the FBI needs to take over Kylen and Crystal's case, because the local law enforcement are getting nowhere fast. Telling everyone not to worry, yet we have no idea who this killer is. There's actually a petition on change.org. I'm going to post the link for that to try to entice the FBI to look into Kylen and Crystal's case better. Possibly just take it over, because, you know, her family is doing more investigating in their case than the police are. And that should never happen. They can't grieve. They can't comfort each other. They don't have time because they're trying to figure out who the hell killed their girls. I can't imagine that. I'm also going to post some other links to some really great people that are looking into this case. Some of my theories actually came from reading their clues and their thoughts, so I don't want to take credit for that. And this was supposed to be a quick little video. I'm sorry, you guys. I've just been yelling at my TV so much. I felt like I just needed to say all the things that my TV wasn't listening to me. But yeah, if I said anything wrong or I'm mistaken about something, please tell me, because I don't want to put out the wrong information at all. All of this is just, you know, the facts from the case, and then my feelings and my opinions on those facts. But I appreciate everybody else's opinions, and I change my mind quite often from other people's opinions, so please share them with me. And thank you for taking the time to watch my whole video. I ramble at times, sorry. But y'all have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, what's left of it. And take care. So until next time, bye.